Sometimes a dog does not react loudly when something feels wrong. Their body chooses quieter paths long before fear becomes visible. What we call calm can actually be careful self-protection. What we call obedience can be emotional freezing. Dogs rarely announce feeling unsafe with obvious signals. They adjust posture, distance, rhythm, and attention instead. These reactions are not choices made by training or habit. They are survival languages shaped by sensitivity and past experience. A dog who feels unsafe is not misbehaving or confused. They are navigating uncertainty with the tools their nervous system trusts. If we only look for growls or retreat, we miss most of the story. Safety is negotiated internally long before it is expressed outward. Understanding begins when we slow down and notice the quiet changes. That is where a dog's real experience usually lives. Sometimes a dog stops not because they are calm, but because movement suddenly feels like risk. The body pauses while the mind searches for safety. This stillness is not surrender, it is assessment. Freezing allows the nervous system to reduce exposure. Less motion means fewer variables to manage. To humans, this moment often looks like good behavior. To the dog, it is a temporary shelter built from silence. Inside that pause, attention turns inward instead of outward. The dog is deciding whether the world is predictable enough. Nothing is wrong yet, but nothing feels certain either. Freezing is how a dog buys time without escalating tension. It is a quiet boundary, not a shutdown. When we rush this moment, we remove their safest option. When we notice it, we begin to see restraint as strength. Turning away is rarely rejection in a dog's emotional language. It is often a gentle request for space without creating confrontation. When safety feels uncertain, direct engagement becomes too demanding. The body chooses distance while keeping connection loosely intact. Looking away softens social pressure without escalating the situation. It allows the dog to stay present without feeling exposed. To humans, this can feel dismissive or uninterested. To the dog, it is an act of self-respect. Turning away keeps peace while protecting inner balance. It says, "I am still here, just not fully available." This movement preserves choice when retreat feels too drastic. Dogs use subtle angles to regulate emotional intensity. Distance becomes communication, not avoidance. When we honor this gesture, trust remains unbroken. Ignoring it often teaches the dog to choose stronger signals. Sometimes, stillness arrives in the middle of movement. Not planned, not trained, just suddenly necessary. The dog pauses because the environment stopped making sense. Predictability fractured, even if nothing obvious changed. Stillness narrows the world into something manageable. When motion continues, uncertainty multiplies too quickly. This pause is not fear taking over. It is control returning through reduction. By becoming still, the dog limits incoming information. Fewer signals mean fewer decisions to make. To us, it can look stubborn or unresponsive. To the dog, it is a way to stabilize reality. Stillness buys time for patterns to reappear. Only then does movement feel safe again. When we respect this pause, clarity often follows. When we interrupt it, confusion deepens quietly. When a dog feels unsafe, attention often spreads outward instead of inward. Their senses widen, collecting details faster than the body can relax. Eyes move more, ears shift, posture lifts slightly without obvious tension. Nothing dramatic happens, yet nothing is ignored anymore. This scanning is not curiosity-seeking stimulation. It is the nervous system searching for predictability and early warning. Every sound carries potential meaning. Every movement becomes relevant. The dog stays ready without knowing what they are ready for. To humans, this can look like distraction or restlessness. To the dog, it is a form of vigilance that prevents surprise. Alertness replaces ease when safety feels conditional. Calm is postponed until patterns feel stable again. The dog is not anxious about one thing, they're cautious about everything at once. When scanning softens, safety has quietly returned. Until then, awareness remains their primary protection. Reduced movement to minimize emotional exposure. When a dog feels unsafe, movement often becomes smaller and slower. Not because the body is tired, but because motion feels revealing. Each step increases visibility. Each choice risks attention. So the body chooses less, not more. Reduced movement is not hesitation about where to go. It is caution about being seen while going anywhere. By staying still or moving minimally, the dog limits interaction. Less motion means fewer invitations for engagement or challenge. To humans, this can look like stubbornness or low energy. To the dog, it is emotional economy. The world feels intense, so presence becomes selective. Only what feels necessary is allowed to happen. This behavior protects the dog from overload without escalation. It keeps control when the environment feels unpredictable. When movement slowly returns, safety has widened again. Until then, stillness is the safest shape to hold. Staying unusually close as a search for shared safety. When a dog stays unusually close, it is rarely about dependence. It is often about borrowing stability from a trusted presence. Closeness reduces the need to scan, decide, and self-regulate alone. The body feels safer when another nervous system is nearby. This proximity is not panic or clinginess. It is strategic connection during uncertainty. By staying close, the dog limits unpredictable input. Fewer angles, fewer surprises, fewer emotional calculations. To humans, this may feel comforting or affectionate. To the dog, it is grounding. The shared space becomes a temporary shelter. Safety feels more reachable when it is shared. This closeness fades when the world feels manageable again. Distance returns naturally once regulation is restored. Staying close is not weakness. It is an intelligent use of relationship to stay balanced. When a dog avoids eye contact, it is rarely about guilt or defiance. It is often a deliberate way to soften emotional intensity. Direct gaze carries weight in the canine nervous system. When safety feels uncertain, that weight becomes too much. Looking away reduces expectation without breaking connection. The dog stays present while lowering relational demand. This behavior protects against escalation, not closeness. It keeps the interaction from becoming too sharp or exposed. To humans, eye contact means attention and honesty. To dogs, it can mean challenge or vulnerability. Avoiding the gaze creates room to breathe emotionally. It allows regulation to happen without confrontation. The dog is not ignoring you. They are protecting the interaction itself. When eye contact returns naturally, pressure has eased. Until then, looking away is a form of quiet respect. When a dog repeats small actions, it is rarely meaningless habit. It is often the body trying to settle itself quietly. Licking, pacing, sniffing, or shaking appear simple on the surface. Inside, they serve as anchors for an overloaded nervous system. These actions create rhythm when the world feels uneven. Repetition brings predictability back into the body. The dog is not bored or unfocused. They are regulating emotion without drawing attention. Self-soothing keeps tension from spilling outward. It allows the dog to stay present without escalating distress. To humans, repetition can look unnecessary or odd. To the dog, it is relief found through familiarity. These behaviors fade once balance returns. They increase when uncertainty lingers too long. Self-soothing is not a problem to interrupt. It is a quiet skill the dog uses to stay intact. Delayed responses while assessing emotional risk. When a dog responds slowly, it is rarely confusion or stubbornness. It is often a careful pause before choosing what feels safest. The request is heard, but action is temporarily withheld. The body waits while the nervous system evaluates consequences. Immediate response requires trust and predictability. When that trust wavers, time becomes protection. This delay allows emotional data to settle. It prevents reactions that might escalate uncertainty. To humans, the pause can feel like resistance. To the dog, it is responsibility. They are not deciding whether to listen, they are deciding whether the moment is safe enough to move. Delayed responses reduce emotional risk. They replace impulse with internal consultation. When safety feels clearer, response speeds up naturally. Until then, waiting is the most honest answer available. When a dog moves toward familiar spaces, it is rarely avoidance alone. It is a return to places where the nervous system remembers safety. Familiar walls, paths, or objects reduce the need to interpret. The body relaxes when fewer questions need answers. Withdrawal is not giving up on the world. It is choosing regulation before re-engagement. In known spaces, expectations are predictable. Nothing new needs to be solved immediately. To humans, this can look like hiding or reluctance. To the dog, it is recovery. Familiarity restores a sense of authorship over experience. Control returns when the environment feels readable again. Once balance is rebuilt, curiosity often reappears naturally. Distance was never the goal, stability was. Withdrawing is not retreating from connection. It is how a dog protects connection from breaking under pressure. A dog who feels unsafe is not broken, dramatic, or difficult. They are responding honestly to a world that feels uncertain inside. Most of these reactions happen quietly, without warning or display. That is why they are so often misunderstood. Dogs do not choose these behaviors to communicate with us. They choose them to survive the moment intact. When we slow down enough to notice patterns instead of labels, their behavior begins to make emotional sense. Safety is not created by control or correction. It is felt when pressure eases and choice returns. A dog does not need us to fix every reaction. They need us to recognize what the reaction protects. Understanding does not make fear disappear, but it keeps fear from becoming isolation. In that space of understanding, trust grows quietly, and safety becomes something the dog no longer has to manage alone.